Hello, this is CONNORISSUPERGOOFY, and welcome to another video basically promoting the release of my brand new album. Today is my, as this video is going live, today is my 18th birthday. So, yeah, I'm a legal adult now. As I'm recording this is the day before, so I'm technically, as I'm recording this, not a legal adult yet, but I will be as of the time I am releasing this video. I just wanted to go over some stuff with the album. I wanted to kind of talk about like the direction and stuff on this album, and also kind of give my thoughts on all 30 of the tracks that this has on this thing. So not only is this my final album of high school, but this is also my final, possibly my final album for a while, possibly forever. I decided to after releasing this album, kind of just drop singles and sometimes EPs instead of albums, just to give myself a little bit more creative freedom. But excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, this album is, the concept of this is pretty straightforward. It's basically celebrating my coming of age, and my upcoming high school graduation. That is the concept of this album. I broke ground on like lyrics and like the production and stuff in May of 2024. Before I even finished my junior year of high school, I started working on this album. Made a few songs for it during the summer. And then, like, the bulk of the production came between, like, October and December of 2024. And I finished in late January. Yeah, this is what came out. So, let's get into this album. I wanted the album to kind of open with a bang and kind of close with some feelings. So the bang that we open with is the track Burned, which does have a guest verse from Mr. Marquez on it. I did kind of remove the guest feature tags temporarily for the release of this album, kind of for like the grand reveal. Yeah, this track Burned does feature Mr. Marquez, the track, so a lot of the tracks on this opening leg, kind of have the same issue. Like a lot of these first 6 tracks here that you're seeing in the track list, there's issues with the mixing. So, I recorded my part of Burned during the summer of 2024, as well as the second track and the 4th track, which we will get to. I recorded those during the 2024 summer, and I recorded them off my computer because that was before I had started like recording songs off my iPad instead. So when I record off the computer, I have to rely on the metronome for the tempo, and so you can hear the metronome pick up in the background of a lot of my songs. I try to remove it with Splitter, which is another program using BandLab, but Splitter is not perfect, so yeah. So anyway, the tracks, what I'm trying to get into is a lot of the tracks on this first leg, and a lot of tracks on this album in general, do have some like mixing issues, which do kind of get in the way, and I think that is the case with at least my part on the track Burned. But it's not too big of a deal. Like, a lot of the tracks do have mixing issues. Burned is a kind of a hyped, energetic track with a bunch of horns thrown in there, and also a guest verse from Mr. Marquez where he's going off at his next door neighbor and another math teacher, Miss Jones, for not being goofy and for like ruining my some of my songs by beatboxing on them and being horrible at it. Anyway, moving on to the second track, is the track I Lost All My Motivation, which is an entirely bass driven beat with a fun fact. I actually made the entire beat with just one drum kit. That's all I used to make the beat. And once again, it comes into it does run into some mixing issues because I did record it during the summer off my computer. But the track is all about like mental block and like losing all my motivation to like write and stuff. Then we have then it transitions into one of the more interesting tracks on the album, because the third track of a 30-track album is we already have kind of an interlude, like an instrumental interlude called Endless Ocean, which opens with these kind of dreamy pads that sort of resemble the opening on C418's under Minecraft underwater track Shuniji. And then it transitions into this kind of dreamy sort of entrancing piano track that eventually gets more and more dramatic. Like, as I was making this, I kind of had like I made this with the vision of a ship in the middle of an endless ocean, and then it starts to sail into like a storm, and that's when it gets more dramatic. So one of the more vivid one of the pieces on this album that has one of the more vivid imagery. I think it's an interesting song. I actually made this back in February of 2024, so like over a year ago, and decided to throw it on the album later. And I think I made a pretty interesting decision putting it third on the album rather than like more towards the middle or maybe towards the end. Then it transitions into The Builder and the Breaker, which features me singing more than it does me rapping. Like there's a big rap verse at the end, and there's not many lyrics to the song as well. The song is mainly carried by it's instrumental, and I don't think it's one of the better tracks on the album. It also does run into those same mixing issues. It's not a huge song like to speak of. And then we get into the first actual like real banger, in my opinion, in the track list. We have Cupcake, which is also one of the most exotic, kind of experimentalish, out there songs on the album. The most like exotic song on this album. Basically, I decided to try something new with this track, kind of drawing inspiration from my massive hit Easel Weasel, as well as NIH State Line's track Something Good, which I really like at the same time, kind of fusing them together into this idea where I basically have two beats that fade in and out alternatively with each other. One beat being for each of the verses and the other beat being for the chorus. And basically the verses are backed by a kind of funky guitar, kind of rock style beat, and the chorus is more this psychedelic guitar like trap beat with a 3/4 time signature, which I think that's the first time that I've ever done a song with a 3/4 time signature, by the way. fun fact. And that beat is kind of like psychedelic and more weird sounding, and the chorus is just one word. Yeah! And I think I did a good job on this track as well. I think the guest artists, Natalia Garcia and Lincoln Parsons, I think they did a good job. Obviously, the one thing that I would have done differently about the song is that Lincoln's verse is kind of like drowned out a little bit by the noise that's happening in Miss Baker's room, because we recorded this in homeroom. So what I wish I would have done was like gone out in the hall or into like the microwave closet to record instead of just right smack dab in the center of Miss Baker's room. So we wouldn't have to worry about the noise, but it is what it is. The track is released the way it is, and I'm not gonna I can't really complain about that. And then we have these. This. What I would say is the end of the first leg of the album. Another track that does run into some mixing issues, but I think it has a good beat. The track Thomas is not only the longest track on this album, but also the longest track that I've released since Connor the Mega album in 2023. This track has a runtime of 6 minutes and 12 seconds, which is I believe it's tied for second for my with another song on Connor the Mega album for my longest running track. It is a good here's a good like kind of song about a friend named Thomas that I had back in 6th grade who liked to play with me at recess. Back when we lived in Ohio, in 6th grade, I had this friend called Thomas, and yeah, we met each other and at the beginning of the year, and we had some good times together, and like at the end of 6th grade, obviously I had to move back here to Texas, and we kind of chatted a little bit, and our relationship has kind of died out, but still I wrote this song about that friendship. So it's a pretty sweet song, but once again, I do think the mixing does kind of let it down. Then the 7th track is a very big like dance anthem, kind of tied into like a rap song. It's called Antisocial, and the track has a really good beat. This really good like dancey kind of beat with these synth basses coming into it as well. And I think it's let down by its lyrics. Its lyrics are straight up cringy. I think the one thing that this track really messes up is I think it kind of confuses the words antisocial and autistic. And I think it confuses those two. Like it's a song about loneliness. It's basically a song about loneliness with a dance beat thrown over it. But I think it's kind of faulty lyrics and stuff do kind of let it down. And then we get into the 8th track, which is even worse. The track is Pumpkin Mold, which I think was a solid idea, kind of mashing up a bunch of really good, funny moments that we had during my sophomore year. Obviously, those being the moldy pumpkins in Mr. Ashford's room and the dead fish in Gus's backpack in Coach K's class, which happened during my sophomore year. Also having a little mention to the freshman year funny moment of the Easy Mac burning in the microwave because they forgot to add water to it in Miss Hooks' class during my freshman year. And the song has a good beat. You can tell based on you can tell when listening to it that it kind of draws a little bit from Billie Eilish Bad Guy. Like the Billie Eilish Bad Guy influences really shine through on this song, but the vocals are booty. The vocals suck on this song. This has got like the biggest mixing issues of any song on this entire album, and it completely ruins it. I re-recorded these vocals like 5 times, maybe even 6 times, and I had wished I'd recorded like a 6th or 7th, one more time, because like the vocals on this thing suck. Like I didn't record it off my computer at home. I recorded it at school at lunch, but like still, like the vocals on this thing, completely ruined the song. And then we come into our next kind of leg of the album, where we get 3 bangers. We get 3 pretty much bangers in a row. We have the track Pretender, which is the first major diss track that we have on this album. There are quite a few diss tracks on this album. I did have quite a bit of beef with some people during my senior year, and so those tracks do make their way onto this album. And the first of which is the track Pretender, which I released back in October. It was a kind of a warning shot that I threw at Landon Calafell, who's one of the people on the golf team who practices golf for one of the other schools, who was basically trying to push me and like my best friend from golf practice, Chelsea. He was trying to push me and Chelsea to start dating, and he was going way too far with it and started making us feel uncomfortable. And so I wrote this song to try and push him back from it, and yeah. You can, like, the production and, like, the vocals on this song scream Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. It should come as no surprise that I'm a very huge fan of that song as well, and I drew heavy inspiration from that on this track, and it turned into a banger as well. And we transition to another pretty good track, Friday Night Goofiness, where I kind of go on to like this track has like a kind of jazzy type beat with the saxophones and the piano in the background as well, and I think on this track I also what am I trying to say? On this track I kind of go into like, I kind of have a little bit of a yapping fest. Like in the first verse I'm mentioning first verse is mainly me mentioning like the end of 8th grade. There was this girl that I had a crush on at the end of 8th grade who we got banned from each other like 3 times, and like I kind of yap about that in the first verse, and in the second verse it kind of the second verse goes on an entirely different rant, like a different tangent, and then the third verse I'm talking about like, oh, I'm not like trying to get like signed or anything. This isn't something I'm doing for money. This is something that I'm doing for enjoyment, and I just happen to be getting money and views off of it, which is which is basically the mindset that I have about my music. And I think it's got a pretty good chorus as well, and it has a runtime of almost 5 minutes, I think it uses that runtime up pretty well. Then we have just an outright energetic anthem, Moon, which the vocals are freakishly high-pitched on this thing, which wasn't completely intentional, but like the piano intro, like the kind of energetic piano intro and the chorus and like the verses, man, there's so much energy on Moon. Then I think the energy kind of dies down on the 12th track, The Same Things, which kind of, the lyrics are kind of all over the place on this track, I guess. There are some mentions of Big Soap on this thing, and talking about, like, the fake accounts that come and troll on Big Soap's channel, and, like, the fact that Big Soap doesn't like the Precipice music disc and stuff like that. Then we have the second, like, major, single, that, went, like, huge on this, this album. This was actually, the biggest single from Wave 2, of the album, which, that being, Phoebe Weeby. I think it's the worst hit single off this album as well, because once again, it does have those same mixing issues. I did record it during the summer. The mixing on this one is terrible, but the song goes hard, even with some of the kind of poor mixing on this thing. The song is about my dog, Phoebe Weeby, and I think it has an incredibly funny bar where I sniff just like Phoebe Weeby sniffs as well. Then we have one of the more kind of low-key tracks on this album, The Falling, which it definitely kind of it's just me going back to that party people-ish era where I'm kind of rapping over, like, house beats and stuff like that. And it's also another song about loneliness, which it's nothing too much to speak of. But then we get to the lead which was this song that was the official lead single for this album, and the start of a string of 4 bangers on this track list. We have the very big, it was a very big single leading up to this album. It's Poisonous Potato. It's another song kind of like Friday Night Goofiness, where I kind of go on a little bit of a yap fest, but then the thing that makes this song different from Friday Night Goofiness is that there's a guest feature from Miss Killian, my economics teacher, on this, where she goes mad dissing Coach Fambro, my golf coach. Talking kind of like downplaying some of Coach Fambro's big funny moments, kind of making fun of Coach Fambro's guest verse on my Jingle Bell Don't Jingle this past fall for my Christmas album, and also kind of going off about like how Coach Fambro doesn't know who Drake is, which was a big funny moment my junior year, and then kind of wraps the verse up with at Christmas time, like Coach Fambro calling everybody who was in front of him in the like most valuable teacher race Grinches. Everyone who is above Coach Fambro is a Grinch is basically what he said, and Miss Killian is like, no, you're the real Grinch. You're the one who's unhappy with 5th place. Yeah. Then we transition into that's probably one of my favorite tracks off this album. We transition into It Goes Up, which is probably my least favorite of this string of 4 songs, but it still goes pretty hard. I think it could have been mixed better, but still it's not mixed as badly as songs like Pumpkin Mold or Burned. So I think it's a pretty good song. Then the 17th, and then we get into Goofy Boys 2, which is a song that I think underperformed compared to how I was expecting it to perform when it dropped, because like it's a huge Daniel Van Cleve feature. It's like a sequel to our big hit song Goofy Boys, and I thought it was going to do better than this. But it's still a hard song. I enjoy it a lot when I listen back to it, and yeah. Obviously, the song could have performed better than it did, but still can't complain much about how it came out. Then we get to The Elephant in the Room, the big, enormous hit off this album that released back in October, Mansions. Mansions is a kind of the first of a trio, kind of like triplets, in like triplet diss tracks, which Mansions I wrote against Nate Flores, who is a jerk. He sucks, and yeah, Nate Flores is a bad person. He harassed me in English class, and I wrote this song, and then immediately after that told the teacher, but telling the teacher didn't last as long as the song did. I will say that the song is definitely the biggest hit of my biggest hit of my senior year. Then after Mansions, we go into two of the worst tracks on the album. Sipping with the Enemy is Sipping with the Enemy. I made the beat back in December of 2023, and I wanted to use it for something because I love this instrumental so much. And what do I turn this instrumental into? Just a random song with like cringy lyrics and like a poor vocal delivery, and yeah. Sipping with the Enemy was a complete waste of this beat, and is my least favorite track on this album. Then we get into another one of my less favorite tracks, mostly because of the delivery, but it does have a good beat, and I think I did pretty good with the beat and the lyrics. Just the vocal delivery doesn't quite stick the landing for me. The song is over and over. The track is about a friend who can't decide whether they want to continue being my friend and like talking to me, or whether they need like some space and like a break from me. If the person who inspired this song is watching, obviously they know who they are. As I'm going to say that. I've already mentioned them earlier on this album as well. Directly. But this is more of an indirect reference to that same thing. I'm gonna get into another one of the bigger singles from Wave 2, which was Hey Landon. The track is another song that I wrote. So basically, after I dropped Pretender on Landon Califels, there were rumors floating around at golf practice that Landon Califels was making a response diss track against me, and this song here, Hey Landon, is basically begging for that response. And I never got it, and I never will, but yeah, it was worth the shot. I don't feel like it was produced quite as well as some of the other tracks on this album, and yeah, it was kind of mixed poorly as well. Like the vocals weren't mixed that great. Yeah, it's probably one of my least favorite of the singles that came off this album. Then there's the track Super Goofball, which is another song that I think the beat lets this song down more. It's a kind of generic kind of dance beat. I don't think the beat flows very well, and the vocals are okay, but they're nothing to scream at. Then we get into another kind of interlude-y track that functions more like an instrumental, but is technically not. The song is Party in Miss Baker's Room, and it's basically this dance beat and like some like background vocals of some background like a conversation that I'm having with a bunch of people in Miss Baker's homeroom, which I think it's one of the more unique tracks on this album. This track actually, it tries to like recapture like the energy of those interludes that I had on the the Impossible Logic album. Those Homeroom Celebration and Good Morning, where it's just a beat and then I'm you're basically listening to what's happening in my home room. This is kind of attempting to do the same thing, but inside a BandLab, and I can't really decide whether it does it better or worse. And that transitions into another huge single from Wave 1, and another huge diss track as well off this album, Evil CAYDEN. Evil CAYDEN was pretty hyped when it came out back in October. It's part of that diss track triplet from October, alongside Mansions and Pretender, and it is basically a song throwing bars at like evil, throwing bars at Caden Medina, for some of the things that he did when he was in my English class during our freshman year, and Then we move into another kind of a less hyped single from this project, All My Fault, which I think it has a good beat. It's a beat you could dance to, and then the song is, but what the song is talking about is basically being in the area of a fight and getting in trouble for it even though you weren't involved, which is kind of a nod to some of the school rules that were imposed around like fighting late during my freshman year, because there were so many fights at my school that we had to kind of crack down harder on it. So basically they made a rule that said if you're in the area, all of you guys are going to DAEP, which is basically this alternative place that people go when they do something really bad, that they that they're basically going there for punishment. Like, everyone who's in the area of a fight has to go there, regardless of whether they wanted to be there or not. Basically, kind of throwing a jab at those rules, which I thought were a little extreme. And that transitions into not only my number one favorite song on this album, but probably at least top 5 in, like, maybe even my number one favorite song that I have ever created. Say What You Want is something I decided to try something new with this track, and basically it's an anthemic, like, hype song with kind of a choir sample as the for the main beat, and some anthemic vocals, anthemic lyrics, basically about basically a message to anyone who dares to say that I have fallen off. And it's a really good hype song. It gets me in my feelings to this day, and I'm sad that it didn't get more popular. Then late in the album we have the track Trolls, which is it's a good song. Like, it's another more like dancey kind of vibey beat, which came from Wave 2, and it's it's not like amazing. It's not like one of my favorite songs of this album, but it does transition into some really nice pianos, which is really good. Then we have one of the most interesting tracks on the album coming late in the album. We have the track What's Love For, which basically samples 10-year-old me on the track. Basically, the song is a track that like samples like this recording that I took in my garage back in Ohio when I was 10 years old, singing to my, at the time he was still our cat, Spot. I put a beat behind it, remixed it, and I think it sounds decent. I also put another verse onto it as well. Then we have Economics Rap Song, which is basically this really bassy kind of danceable beat that we and it's basically a song that I wrote for an economics one-pager at the beginning of the school year. It was the first track that I released that is going on this album. And then we have the closer. And the closer is kind of a low-key, basically kind of a low-key, old-school hip-hop beat where it's basically extremely conceptual, extremely vivid. Basically, in the song, I tell a story of sitting by a window at 6 a.m., dozing off, falling asleep, and then dreaming that I was in the school cafeteria, kind of reminiscing with a bunch of people about, like, my musical journey and, stuff like that. And then I wake up, I basically thank everyone who has joined me on my musical journey, and then I say goodbye, and then it turns into this kind of somber, like, piano outro that kind of fades away as the album ends, and my high school album-making journey is done. This is a good album. It's certainly better than my last mega project, the 35-song one, Connor the Mega album. That one was kind of a mess. It was kind of all over the place. I think I did better with this one, and that's about it. See ya.